Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you what it is to put your customer first and start your business that way and ignore the competition. If you look at entrepreneurship, in one of my previous videos I mentioned that the odds are really not on your side. 70% of the companies are out of business at the end of their 10th year. So 3 out of 10 are still standing. And I would argue that those companies that are still successful after so many years are the ones that learned early on how to put their customer on a pedestal. Today I'm going to show you how I do it and give you a real life example and a couple of practical steps for that. My name is Erkka Suvanto. Some of you call me EJ. I'm a real estate investor and an entrepreneur. And I'm here on social media to build a legacy for my kids. Pass on all the information and all the learnings I've collected over the years. So welcome. Again, customer first versus what the competition does. Most companies start their journey by looking at the industry average, pricing, product, and their value proposition is as follows: more for less. Average price, go slightly below, offer a little more. That's how you arrive at that value proposition that they think is unique. Maybe so, but I would argue that the successful companies who are still standing after so many years are the ones who understood early on how to put their customer as their number one priority. If you watched my last video where I explained what I did 14, 15 years ago when I started my first company abroad, you could argue that I actually did exactly the opposite, meaning that all I did was that I analyzed the competition. That's exactly true. And why is that? Because I was new to that industry. I had no idea. So I had to find a reference point. And my reference point was to analyze all the market data, all the transactions over the last 6 months and put together my own thoughts about how I could differentiate myself from the competition. So down the road I got there, but it took me quite a long time because I didn't have the prior industry knowledge. Like I said, today let's try to bypass that long waiting period and start to look at the end user first and ignore the competition. Maybe run a reference check as far as how our offering stacks up against the rest of the people in the marketplace. Okay, so successful companies and successful value propositions, as we have also discussed here, there's the dream outcome for the customer, how likely it is for them to achieve that, and that divided by time and effort and sacrifice. So make it as easy as possible, as fast as possible for the paying customer, and try to convince them that they will get reach their dream outcome with you with the greatest likelihood possible. So the way I like to paint the first picture here is through a value chain. To me, it's an open-ended line. But I like to divide it into blocks. There's before, there's during, and there's after. And why these? Well, simply today because of our reference business. I'm going to use a massage industry, assuming I was a massage therapist who put together a service business. So I want to give you guys a real life example using that business here. So that's why we divide it this way, because this particular business has a very unique face-to-face customer interaction point. Obviously, if I was providing Zoom video conferencing services, it would be through technology. I would potentially never meet with the customer face-to-face. This is easy, just for illustration purposes. Before, during, and after. And there are five steps that I like to follow in identifying this dream business offering from the customer's perspective. Let's get there, coupled with some real life examples and actions from this particular business. So the step number one here is to identify. We identify all customer touchpoints. All customer touchpoints or interfaces, so to say. What does that mean? So let's use this massage business here as an example, as our reference. So here is the face-to-face phase, and then before that and after that, we also have touch points. So for instance here, parking and getting into the office could be one, and here the customer interface would be reservation. How do I make that reservation? I need to call this business, use their app, go to their website, email them or whatever. So reservation, parking, and then here one could be after service care and booking new appointment. New appointment. There are obviously plenty of these. And if we do this type of a value chain analysis well, I would argue that in each phase we would find at least 15 to 30 different customer reference or touch points. And the more detailed we are, the better our end result is obviously going to be. The step number two then is to list all problems. What are problems? So assuming we know the industry here, we are going to be looking at each and every phase here in the eyes of the paying customer. Knowing that we started a massage business, we might have worked in that industry, we might have owned a business, or we might have actually been a client of a massage therapist for many, many years. And that gave us a unique perspective into this business. So again, what could that be? Let's say reservation. Hard to reach. Hard to reach anybody. Nobody answers my phone calls, nobody answers my emails. There doesn't seem to be one central place where I can get a hold of these people who represent the business. Okay, hard to reach. Parking. Never enough parking. This is what the customer sees or thinks. And maybe because of these issues, is never gonna make an appointment and come see you. Never enough parking. We keep this very high level now. Aftercare. So when to come back? What's a good recommended interval for these treatments? When to come back? What to do at home? Don't know. I'm here for the first time. So we make this as easy as possible for the end user. Again, we just highlighted 3 touch points, and as a result, as many problems, and then in the next phase, solutions. So we listed out all the problems, and now we reverse it, identify solutions and their delivery. Note to self, get better markers. I'll put more ink. Okay, let's use red color. We used red color, now we're gonna use green, obviously. Green is the solution color. So if it's hard to reach, it's hard to make a reservation, you can't really get a hold of anybody. What could be the solution here? Well, we could think as a business that it makes sense to invest in an app. Invest in an app. That could be a solution. We don't worry about cost, effort, or time at this point yet. We invest in an app. That's a central place for the business to communicate with the customer, to make an appointment, reschedule, cancel, even make payments in the future. That could be one. There are others. Never enough parking. Only locations with minimum 50 parking spots, as an example. So we decide a solution could be that we make sure that our locations are always fully accessible to people with cars. When to come back, what to do at home. Solution here could be that the app reminds the app reminds the client about the next appointment and gives instructions for home care as well. These were just 3. I'll give you a couple of extras here as well, just to highlight what that could be. Let's say, thinking about a massage business, one typical touch point problem area for the during phase would be that a potential client thinks that, okay, I'm not comfortable taking my shirt off, taking my clothes off in front of this massage therapist. Obviously, that's not the intention. So for that, we have locker rooms or a blocked off section in the room where there's curtains and all that for privacy. We make it really comfortable for the new customer to get situated. There are towels and all of that. So we go to tiniest level of detail just to make sure that we understand every potential obstacle for a new client that prevents them from trying our business. That's the idea. We identify solutions and delivery. And at this point, like I said, we don't look at the cost or the time or effort yet. Then point number 4 is prioritize. We prioritize based on cost and value. And here what I typically do is that I create a simple matrix where cost and value both have a low and high score. So let's say here, application would be, from the cost perspective, a high, and high from the value perspective as well. So the first priority is to look at solutions that are low here and high here. So low cost and high value. Once we have exhausted all of those options, we move on to high cost, high value. And then at the end of the day, the critical part here is to be able to prioritize. What is it that we truly need to select so that our offer or concept becomes the winning one? And then more space here. This then spits out the concept or the so-called solution that is customer-centric. So hopefully this helps and gives you perspective into how I think we can keep the customer in mind and as our priority 1 in putting together a business solution and concept. Thank you.